Islam, Shalom, Hola, Aloha, Bonjour, Osio, Assalamu Alaikum, Konnichiwa. This your brother Zach Bay, Indigenous American Moor, coming to you live in full effect. Like, share, subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell down below so you can be notified whenever I'm dropping some new content. Leave a comment, interact with me. Thank you, I really do appreciate your viewership. And shout out, special thanks to all the three or four loyal followers and subscribers who are always watching my content. No doubt, I really do appreciate you. All right, so I have another one for you today. Commercial law applied. Learn to play the game. All right, I went over this before. I'm sure you can find my older videos that's actually talking about this exact topic and going over this. All right, so I want to start off right here. Commercial law. The principles, maxims, and precepts of commercial law are eternal, unchanging, and unchangeable. They are expressed in the Bible, both in the Old Testament and in the New Testament. All right, so you realize when you might have realized this, but a lot of times when they're speaking in legalese and law, a lot of times it has to do with ecclesiastically, excuse my pronunciation, but those are often mentioned in when it comes to law and things like that. Religion comes into play when it comes to, whose law are you under, because the government is actually put in place to protect our inalienable rights, and those are rights we have from the Most High Creator. So that's what the legal system is originally meant for. All right, and to make sure people get justice and things like that. But it's been changed up over some time. But let's jump back into it. The law of commerce, unchanged for thousands of years, forms the underlying foundation of all law on this planet. All right, that's very, very true. It goes back to ancient times. All right, these lessons were passed down. All right, even though a lot of them have been bastardized, a lot of the lessons that we learn today have been altered and changed. They have been, like I said, they have been bastardized. Some parts have been taken out, so we don't have the complete picture. All right, and a lot of secret societies protect this information, and they have been protecting the truth for hundreds or even thousands of years. All right, so it says forms the underlying foundation of all laws on this planet, and for governments around the world, it is law of nations. All right, it is the law of nations and of everything that human civilization is built upon. Very, very true. The foundations. All right, this is why commercial law is so powerful. When you operate at the level of commercial law by these precepts, nothing that is of inferior statute can overturn or change it or abridge or abrogate it or meddle with it. It is the fundamental source of all authority, power, and functional reality. All right, so hopefully that makes sense to you, and then we're going to continue to get into it. Affidavit. All right, very, very important, used often. All right, so let's see, the affidavit. Make this more legible for you. The affidavit. Commerce consists of a mode of interacting and resolving disputes whereby all matters are executed under oath by sworn affidavit executed under penalty of perjury as true, correct, and complete. All right, under penalty of perjury. All right, that means you've been caught falsifying your statement. You've been caught lying. For the most part, you've been caught falsifying truths, bearing Old Testament, bearing false witness. All right, perjury, on the basis of each party's commercial liability. All right, so every time they say commercials, that it has to deal with business. All right, law of business, like supply and demand. Let's see. Such affidavit is required for an application for a driver's license, etc., or for certifying a document that the system desires a person. That's why I have that underline. A person can be natural person or corporate person to be obligated for such means of signing is an oath. All right, signing is one thing, autographing is another. When you see this word, signing. All right, such means of signing is an oath or commercial affidavit executed under the penalty of perjury as true, correct, and complete. In a court setting, oral testimony is stated as stated in judicial terms, sworn to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. All right. So when they swear you in, they normally use this, or in modern times, what I've noticed in commercial settings, they ask you when they swear you in, do you swear or do you affirm? All right. You do not actually have to say swear. You can also say affirm. All right. In addition, the participant must verify and show the relevance of each assertion made to sustain credibility. All right. So each assertion, pretty much each claim, and the relevance is whether or not it has to do with the matter for the credibility, to sustain credibility. So you can't just come up there and say and have a lot of baseless claims, or at least that's not how it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be just baseless claims or bearing false witness, just saying anything you want without any type of evidence to back it up to sustain credibility. Even when it comes to sworn statements. All right, sworn statements are just words. All right, so if in a court setting, if they say that there's a statement against you that a plaintiff or a plaintiff or the victim made a statement against you, that is an affidavit. All right, it says commerce exists and functions without respect to courts or legal systems. That's true, because commerce is business. All right, commerce is business. So even outside of a court setting or a legal setting, commerce is business. All right. And when I say that, is the ability to contract. All right. We all have the ability to contract. We have the ability to create and write our own contracts, or we have the ability to sign into agreements with others in commerce through contract. All right. And that's what that is. Commerce is both a prejudicial and non-judicial. All right. Commerce is both prejudicial and non-judicial. All right. Commerce is the economic extension of natural law into man's social world. All right. Get that important. Extension of natural law into man's world. All right. It's supposed to be like a balance. That's often why in commerce you see a scale being used to balance, the fairness of said deal, and also you see a scale being used when it comes to the legal system. A scale is also being used to balance, right? For balancing. That makes sense. All right, maxim. Truth is expressed in the form of an affidavit. All right, it's truth in the form of an affidavit. And then it says an affidavit is one's solemn expression of his truth. It's very, very important from the way you see it, from your standpoint. All right, from your eyes, from your vantage point. All right, that's what your affidavit is your truth. All right, so it shouldn't be just hearsay. When you issue an affidavit, you get the power of an affidavit. You also accrue the liability involved. All right, that means like your word is bond. When it says the liability involved, like your word is bond. You are You are bound by that affidavit, by those words. All right, let's continue here. An unrebutted affidavit becomes judgment in commerce. Unrebutted. All right, that means nobody spoke against it. No, there weren't any type of claim. There wasn't any counter argument to rebut an affidavit that may have been brought against you. All right, so if anyone makes an affidavit and it's not rebutted point by point, all right, it stands as judgment, as in commerce. All right, and that's why also I like to use this book as well when I'm reading. Unrebutted affidavit stands as truth. All right, that's another one. All right, it says proceedings consist of, I'm trying to get this so I can read it myself. Proceedings consist of contest or a duel of commercial affidavits wherein the unrebutted points remaining in the end stand as truth, to which judgment of law applies. All right, so when you're going through point by point, it says it's like a duel. It's a contest or a duel. Affidavit versus affidavit, point by point, statement by statement, claim by claim. All right, you must go through each of them. That's how it's supposed to go. And anyone that remains at the end after going through such scrutiny is judgment in law. It applies. All right, a claim can be satisfied only through 1, rebuttal by affidavit, point by point. All right, that's 1. Resolution by jury, or 3. All right, so 2, resolution by jury. That means a jury of your peers, other people who are in your same social group, social standing, of your same tribe, of your same religious belief, or your same faith. All right, that's what a jury should consist and be comprised of. And 3, payment or performances of the claim. All right, so you can just bend to it. You can pay out or performance of the claim, whatever they're asking you to do, whether it is to apologize in some way, shape, or form, whether it is to give some type of goods, release property, agree to quit, agree to stay, all these type of things. All right, is a performance of a claim or some type of payment. All right. Hopefully this is making sense to you. Let me know how I'm doing down below. Like, share, subscribe. All right, resolving the conflict or duel between commercial affidavits provides a clean basis for resolving disputes, for in commerce truth is sovereign. All right, maxim of law 3 of 10. If truth were not sovereign in commerce and all human interaction and relations, there would be no basis for anything, no basis for law and order, no basis, no accountability. There would be no standards, no capacity to resolve anything. All right, so that's what they're saying, the basis. It would mean that anything goes, each man for himself, and nothing matters. All right, so that's why we have the foundation. This would be worse than the law of the jungle. In commerce, to lie is to go against the mind. Oriental proverb. Of all that is good, sublimity is supreme. Sublimity. Maxim. If the plaintiff does not prove his case, the defendant, the accused, is absolved. All right, so the burden of proof is always on the plaintiff. So whoever accuses, whoever brings forth the claim, the claimant, all right, the burden of proof is on them. So if it's a case, for example, the state of insert any state name you want, versus you. It is up to the state. All right. And just so you know, whenever any of these corporations have the state of, that means it's a corporation. It's not the actual land itself. All right. So there's a difference between the state of Virginia and Virginia State. All right. One is the land, the other is the corporation operating on the land. But whenever there's a plaintiff, whenever somebody brings you to court, if someone is suing you in any way, shape, or form, they bring a suit against you, a claim against you, the burden of proof is on them to prove his case. And the defendant, if they cannot, the defendant or the accused is absolved. All right. What the courts are adjudicating and what the government are ultimately making rules about are those basic rules of commercial law. All right, so pretty much they're just operating whenever they're making new laws, statutes, and codes. It's most likely, it's not in the natural, it's most likely in the commercial form. All right, just to keep the ball rolling in order to make some kind of finances. It's not really dealing in the laws of nations. All right, the laws of, the laws that really govern men. It's all laws of commerce. All right, no court and no judge can overturn or disregard or abrogate somebody's affidavit of truth. The only one who can rebut your affidavit of truth is the one who is absurdly affected by it. All right, it's his job, his right, his responsibility to speak for himself, to issue his own affidavit. No one can speak to it or write it out for him. All right, so when it comes to doing an affidavit of truth, it says no one can speak to it. All right, so that means no one can take it and just read it for you. No one can speak to it or write it out for him. All right, so no one can say these are your words. You have to say these are your words. You have to write it out. Commercial law. All right. Commercial law maintains the commercial harmony, integrity, and continuity of society to maintain the peace and dignity of the state. Over the millennia, these principles have been discovered through experience and distilled and codified into these 10 fundamental maxims of commercial law. There is no legal issue or dispute possible which is not a function of one or more of these principles. The entirety of the world's commerce now function in accordance with the Uniform Commercial Code, the UCC, the corporate United States version of commercial law. All right, that's all I have for you now. Hopefully everything's legible. Hopefully you can see everything. This is your brother Zach Bay. Like, share, and subscribe. Let me know how I'm doing down below, and peace.